Do you hear that? It's opportunity knocking for the Villanova women's basketball program as they pay visit to undefeated and top-ranked UConn, the defending national champs, on Thursday. We caught up with Wildcat head coach Denise Dillon and asked her what has allowed this team to get off to such a strong start this year. Just how special is Jasmine Bascoe? Is Brynn McCurry the secret sauce that makes this team go? And who might be an X factor down the stretch for the Wildcats? It's a conversation with the coach, and it's coming up next on Holding Over. Hi, everybody. Welcome to this edition of Holding Nova. We're part of the Big East Energy Network. I'm Matt Janus. No David White this week. You'll see why in a moment. Denise Dillon taking his spot. I think you'll understand that change. And we are so grateful to the Wildcats head coach for carving out some time during a busy week. Before we get to the interview, though, we have to ask you to like the video. Helps us get in front of more Villanova fans. Subscribe to the Big East Energy Network, and also give some props to our partners at Home Field Apparel. If you're looking for great throwback Villanova gear, Home Field Apparel is the place to turn. We're going to put a link that will have the entire Villanova collection on the description below. They've got some great 85 era stuff, some t-shirts, some sweatshirts, even that wacky 90s era with the colorful Villanova Wildcat logo. They've got it all. Anything you might like, Home Field Apparel is the place to turn. We thank them for being a supporter of the Big East Energy Network and Holy Nova. Without further ado, here is the head coach of the Villanova women's basketball program, Denise Dillon. And we welcome in the head coach of the Villanova women's basketball program, Denise Dillon. Her team riding high, now up to 14-3 on the year, 7-1 in conference play. Coach, thank you so much for taking the time to join us today.
Oh, absolutely. Always good talking with you.
You had to be so proud of your team. You know, us media folk would call that game kind of a trap situation, really tough place to play traditionally in the Big East, up at Providence. You got the defending national champs ahead on the schedule, and your team showed no look ahead whatsoever. How were you able to come out so focused in that win over Providence?
Yeah, I think the biggest piece with this group is trying to just keep them locked into who we're going up against, getting better together like each day, and just the game plan. You know, you talk through the game plan and just reminding them the importance of being on the same page to execute it. So it was a big game. We talked about some of the players not really experiencing Providence. Those who had, realizing not the greatest of success up there, always tough game, and maybe not coming out on the end that we want to be. So yeah, I felt good about the preparation and their execution throughout.
What is it about that place that can make it such a house of horrors? It's a program that obviously has endured its up and downs, but everybody says how hard it is to play there.
Right. It's tight. Like that's the first thing. Like they renovated the place, kept that tight feel to it, and you just feel like the fans are on top of you. You know, they draw a good crowd, which is nice, but they do. It goes up. It's really steep, and you just feel like they're on top of you. I joke about it, with Joe Mullaney. The court's named after Joe Mullaney's dad, Coach Mullaney, who had done some great things up there in Providence. So I was saying it was like the curse of Joe Mullaney Sr. Trying to hold true, keep Providence on top. But it was, there's a lot going on up there, and found a way in a tough environment.
Is it good preparation to get a game like that right before you go and play, obviously, at kind of a different level of atmosphere at UConn this week?
Yeah, you want to talk about a tough place to play. We're heading into it. I think it came down to, taking care of business. We had a game here against Xavier, team much improved, playing hard, playing aggressive on defensive end, and then flip it to Providence, who we were going to see a little bit of the same, their aggressiveness on D, just trying to keep them contained on the offensive end. And now you go into Storrs, Connecticut, and you're going to get a lot of both. You're going to get that intensity on the defensive end. You're going to get the threats they have on offense, amazing. And then just that environment that UConn has established and built up there, game in and game out. So there's really, you can talk about it. There's really no way to prepare those who haven't experienced it on what they're in store for. But we keep saying, just take the one possession at a time. Continue to get better. You talk about toughness test. There's no greater toughness test than playing UConn.
Well, we will talk more about UConn, but I want to make sure we kind of discuss your team first because, at 14-3, you're scoring 75 points a game, but you're holding teams to 59 points a game. What impresses you more as a coach with this particular group? The way you're able to score it or the way you've had success consistently on the defensive end?
Yeah, you got to go at the defensive end because you're going to have nights where those shots are not falling, and we felt a few of them. And interestingly, I keep recognizing, of course, this team has the ability to put the ball in the basket. We have better shooters collectively than we've had, more options out there. Jazz, just as that scoring point guard, she can do so much on the floor for herself, for teammates, for this entire program. But it's like everyone being a threat, being an option. But I still do feel that our offense is generating that defense. We always try and flip it, let the defense create some offense for you. But I'll go back to that Marquette game. And we came out flat. They took advantage. Our defense wasn't on point. Shots weren't dropping for us. So we never got going. So I do feel with this group, that offense does generate some of that excitement on the defensive end. And we'll keep preaching and focusing in on how important it is, especially as you go into this stretch, in January. We're halfway through the season where you go through the stretch of the importance of getting better. It has to be the intensity on the defensive end.
You always want to go through those moments and probably get a win and learn lessons from a win.
Sure.
But is it important to have nights like that kind of show your team exactly what you guys are talking about in practice while you're harping on all these little things in film and kind of refocus them after you had so much success for so long?
Yeah, there are, you have lessons in wins and losses. A big part of it is, Matt, you understand we can't afford to drop games, the way everything is set up for, if we want to reach our ultimate goal of getting to the tournament, advancing in the March Madness tournament. So we try and get them to realize it in the preparation at practice because we're not going to get those opportunities. They're not going to the committee's not going to chalk it up to, it's a little bit of a lull in the mid-season. Now we got to continue to plow through and just get better and prove that we're viable, that we're a team that belongs in the tournament come March.
How frustrating is that? Because the Big East is kind of in that middle ground right now. They are a clearly good conference, and yet maybe not a conference that the metrics is giving enough respect to, and you are having to have those worries and those conversations about what the committee will care about, how much margin for error is there, and yet when you look at the competition you're facing day in and day out, this is far from a mid-major conference. This is
Right.
The opposite of that.
Yeah, agreed. It is. There's a lot of points that you just made that we continue to have in conversations with the group. I had said to this group, we'll have these conversations in real time. We'll be direct with you with where we stand because I think last year I may not have done a good job of that. It was new. The net, it was a different animal you're dealing with. We were dealing with a whole new team. So just realizing how well that team did, came together, did some good stuff. And you hear after the fact that there were 2 games that cost us that opportunity to go to the tournament. The realization of where we stand at this point. So having those conversations now about the net, giving them all the information they have, we can talk. However, their actions are going to put us in that position, how they all come through night in, night out. So I feel like there's a better understanding across the board where we are. Would I like the Big East to have more recognition for the reputation of the great coaches and players we have? Unfortunately, It's looked at differently because we beat up on each other. UConn has separated themselves, and then the others, there's that parity. But it doesn't work in our favor with having such separation with the one spot.
Is that an evolution for you to talk about it more with teams? Because, in the past, you didn't hear coaches talk about that open dialogue about where we stand, big picture stuff. And yet it feels like, what you just said has moved more towards the norm now from coaches. Is that something that you've moved on over the course of your career?
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, it was something you even put yourself back in their shoes as a player, and you just thought our responsibility is to play, show up and play. Coach's job is to prepare us and make the adjustments, tell us what to do. There's a reason why I coach. I felt like I was coachable. So, you want that from all of your players, just go out there and put forth the effort. But there are a lot of variables now that go into it. And there's so much chatter, which is great. The women's game is on the map, and it's being talked about everywhere, just social media, on TV, on all these networks. So I'm happy about that piece. But yes, you got to offer the information behind the scenes as to the why, as where teams stand. We put ourselves in a great position, and I think that's with the non-conference scheduling. That's why it's important. We say this about the Big East, us beating up on each other, but our coaches meetings, we say it all the time. We have to win non-conference games. We got to schedule legit non-conference games. It's not just about winning games. If you're winning quad, 4 wins, that's not going to give you any growth or standing. So you got to make sure you're putting quad 1, quad 2 games on there, and you got to steal them.
And you guys were able to go on the road and do that at West Virginia. What did that win do for this group collectively in terms of a confidence standpoint? And then obviously in terms of the resume, it's going to be a boost.
For sure. That was a big one. Obviously we started the season slower than we had hoped. I think it was the realization of where we were at that point. We were, I will say it, from day one, this team's effort has certainly been there. Their commitment to getting in the gym, to working together, great group. However, they didn't know who they were or where we were because you're competing against each other. We have the practice team, but you don't have that measuring stick. So, seeing some of those experienced teams early and them taking advantage, it gave us a little taste of, we got a lot of work to do. We got to even be better together. So that West Virginia game, knowing we were going in another tough environment against a very talented team, you saw a sense of understanding as to how hard you had to get after it. It wasn't just going to happen because we had, Jazz returning, Danae returning. You got to work for it. And they sure did. And I would say, Jazz set that tone early and everyone got on board. Brynn McCurry, moving her into that starting lineup was a game changer because of the versatility and understanding as to what we do. It was a little bit smoother. So just getting everyone on board within that game, it felt good, and it just propelled them. Obviously, they gained confidence from it, from their work, and propelled them to just want more and get better.
Brynn McCurry, in so many ways, is kind of the story, that's the epitome of what college sports is all about. To go through everything that she's been through and to just keep working and put yourself in position for the opportunity, and then to take advantage of it through all the adversity. What does her story kind of mean about this program and the kind of kids that brings in, and how proud of you or of her are you?
Yeah, there's a couple things. Obviously, we can talk about her coming back from injury. She had an ACL in high school. Her senior year, missed her entire senior year of high school, comes in, ready to go. She's clear to practice with us. You could just see her getting better, feeling better about herself. And I thought she finished her freshman year strong. I think that was a reason why we made such a run in the WBIT with having her back on the floor doing what she's capable of. And then unfortunately, we head off to Italy in the summer for a foreign tour, and fortunately then tears the other. She's one of the best players over there for us. Just her effort and her grit is tremendous. And then she's out for another year. So you just see someone who wants to be here, wants to be a part of it. So that's where I'm saying, her willingness to get back on the floor, but making the statement of wanting to be here at Villanova. Her freshman year was the year where we lost a number of players in the portal. I brought her in the office. I said, all right, Brynn, where do we stand? She's like, what? Like, why would you ever leave here? I'm not going anywhere. This place is great. I love Villanova. I love the school. I love coaches, program. I said, fantastic. Like, that's what regenerate like our excitement for what we're doing, why we're doing it. So on many levels, she's impacting this program and will continue to do so. So having her on the floor, it's really nice. Having her a part of this program is even better.
That adversity that you guys suffered a couple years ago kind of rocked the coaching staff, the program to its core a little bit because of the new reality of college basketball. You were planning for one thing, and all of a sudden, as you're about to execute that plan, it gets flipped upside down. You guys did a remarkable job of getting through it, but how did those lessons translate into the way you built this roster this year and into the way these pieces fit so nicely this season?
Yeah, it was definitely a reality check, I will say. Not a wake-up call, it was more a reality check as to what college athletics has become. Now, I would love to keep us on the path of what we feel college athletics is and should be for these student athletes and preparing them for the future and preparing them for life. And I go back to that time frame, and I will give the credit to the tremendous staff that I have. Great people, great coaches, and Michelle Baker Sword just reminding me, she said, just stick to your principles, just stick to what we do, who we want here, who's about. We got to do a better job of recognizing that earlier in the process than just looking for the talent. It has to be the full package. And that reminder, I say to myself often, that perspective is eye-opening, and it allows us to be our best, which then permits us to pour into these young women and see them become their best version of what they can be on the floor, in the classroom, in the community. So, we have a great thing here at Villanova for sure. And I always say, it's an unspoken, you're not sure what it is, you just feel it, but certainly is the people.
That's what it's all about. One of those people that has led your team this year and seems to be the personification of that. Obviously, Jasmine Bascoe, I was joking with you in the offseason. It's crazy that people are congratulating you that you brought back your best
Right.
freshman to a sophomore season, but that has been a big
Mhm.
deal for this team. And what areas have you seen her grow the most and taken her game to the next level so far this year?
Yeah, I think for Jasmine, like just the recognition of what she's capable of doing. As a freshman, she came in with this attitude, like, I want to prove that I can play at this level. I think that's the humble piece of Jazz. Like, she doesn't recognize how talented she really is. And when you have that, you're only going to continue to get better. So just putting in the time and effort is certainly there. But then her understanding of the pace. Last year was all about, I'm just going to outwork. I'm going to go faster. I'm going to go harder. I'm going to just try more. Now, with experience, she's the court's getting bigger. Things are slowing down. She's learned the pace of it. So just seeing her grow, mature, has been, that's a coach's dream. That's why you do this. Just see that development process continue to increase. And what she does on the floor, she's fun to watch. She's fun to coach. She's fun to play with. All those things. And when you have that, really good things happen for you.
Interesting you used the word mature because you were telling a story the other week about the upperclassmen giving her a little grief about her maturity, right?
Yeah. Well, I say mature. She's matured as a basketball player. She is a goofy kid. And they were laughing because she's like, yeah, I'm mature. And the couple of them said, they're like, I don't know if that's the first word I would use to describe Jasmine Bascoe. So, yeah, she's just fun. She's just lighthearted. We had a promotion thing here last year, try and get tickets, get students to the game, hot dogs. Jazz was dressed in a hot dog suit on campus, driving around the golf cart. So, yeah, she's you love that, like, just fun loving, kid at heart, and you don't want to lose that. Just enjoy what you're doing and be present. You don't have to be, that adult that they all think you are.
That's terrific. Most coaches are worried about their best player dogging it. You're worried about your best player walking around in a hot dog
Yeah,
suit.
yeah,
That is
yeah.
fantastic. How about, that's a homegrown piece of talent. How about Kelsey Joens, who's starting to come on? You brought
Right.
her in from the transfer portal. How big a deal can she be if she continues to play like this? And is she starting to figure out the system and allowing her to play a little bit better?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think Kelsey has that understanding. Like she's a pure shooter. She finds her spots on the floor, but just recognize, as you said, within the system, when that's taken away, you got to have a counter. I think she's doing a good job of cutting, like looking for the ball in the cut, not just cutting to get somebody off of her. Just the timing and recognition is there. And a big piece for Kels, as we talked earlier in this conversation, was on the defensive end. You cannot be a liability. You got to have an impact out on the floor, and her just revving it up a little bit to make sure that she's battling against the best. Containing her player, or we switch a lot. Whoever it might be, and then just mixing it up with some of the rebounds. Just get involved in different ways can certainly permit you to be on the floor longer, but also impact the game in many ways.
Craziest part about this team, you're 14-3, and yet you've been dealing with injuries.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, you lose Kylie Watson for an extended stretch. You're trying to get her as healthy as possible. And then ND and Tambu is somebody who could be a potential X factor for you guys down the stretch. You see it when she's in the game. She missed a long stretch with a lower body injury. How important is it to get these pieces healthy, and how much higher is the ceiling potentially for you guys if everybody is able to get as close to 100% as possible?
Yeah, you said it. It's a laundry list with the injuries. I mean, Ryan Allen was out for the first 6 weeks of the season, leading into games. And you can see her, she's playing her best basketball now, just staying consistent, being on the floor, and just gets what we do, why we're doing it. And she's allowing her teammates to sense that. It's not hiding, waiting for someone to tell her what to do. She's feeling confident as a senior. As you mentioned, Kylie Watson. So she's gone her longest stretch right now of playing, practice and playing. So you're feeling more of her presence on the court. And you talked about MD. I'll tell you, the last couple of games, she has been a great spark for us. She feels good. She got it out of her head, like having that knee injury. She's just playing the way she can. She's just relentless on that defensive end and can really, really help. But rebounding the ball, I'll say that's another. She just sneaks in there. We missed Kennedy Henry the last 2 games, so she was out. So we'll get her back. Our medical staff said it. Mary Grace Testa, our athletic trainer, in her first year is working. She is doing everything possible, and she's been a gift. She's been really good to us to keep these players out for a minimal amount of time and getting them back. So perhaps the right time, as we said, that final stretch is going to be wearing. So if we have all Wildcats ready, can make some noise.
UConn is its own animal, obviously. This challenge that you face this week, you want to stay consistent in who you are, how you prepare, but what changes when you're getting ready for this type of behemoth on the schedule? Does anything?
Yeah, of course. I mean, you can't just walk in and be like, oh, we're going to do what we do. They're not going to permit that. They're not going to allow you to do what you do consistently. So keeping it in, you talk about one possession at a time, but keeping the focus like 4-minute segments and recognizing where we are in those segments. So of course, with anything at this time of year, it's short turnaround. We have 2 days to prepare for the number 1 team in the country and do what we do. However, see if they're stopping that, how can we, slow them down a little bit, not allow the long stretches that they go on runs. So just being smart within it, whether it's fouls, the timeouts, just trying to break it in 4-minute segments. Defensively, staying on point with the emphasis of threes or more than twos. So you better not be giving up free reign out there at the 3-point line with all of them. So the contest there and try and limit the possessions with the rebounding factor. Because once, if they get a rebound, now we're out, they're kicking it out for another 3. So just controlling a couple of those areas that we can, keeping the focus on segments as opposed to the overall competition.
You've been at this a long time. You've gone toe to toe with all the legends in the sport. Do you relish though these opportunities to kind of match wits with somebody as accomplished as a Geno or Emma, even though it's a very difficult task, obviously?
Yeah, I mean, you do. I mean, it's one of those. I joked about it with the Big East that I'd compete against them as a player, and that's when they were generating their run. You know, their first NCAA championship was in '95, my junior year, and they hit the ground running from there. Yeah, I was down at Drexel for a number of years. They were in the Big East for a stretch, but then they went to the American. I come back to Villanova, and as does Connecticut. So I felt like I didn't get a break unless I was at another school. Uh,
Welcome home present wasn't too good,
yeah, no
huh?
kidding. And yeah, they're fiercer than ever. But it is definitely one of those games, to be completely honest, that you want to see. You're always challenging yourself as a coach, and there's no better coaching staff, and team than UConn to challenge you to see. All right, I talk about a toughness test for our players. It certainly is for myself and our staff. Like, how are we going to manage in this game? Are we going to, stay on point with the execution and making adjustments quickly and throughout? Not sitting there. So just being prepared for a tough environment, but wanting to get better, and this is an opportunity for us all to get better.
You've had that unique perspective of going all the way back to your playing days. You saw them at the beginning of this run, and now you're seeing them. Hopefully, it's not the end, but who knows how much longer Geno will be able to do it. How has that program evolved with the way women's sports have evolved over
Yeah,
these last, what, 3 decades?
exactly. I think that's what's most impressive of being able to sustain excellence is uh, impossible in so many areas, and to do it for as long as UConn has done it is unprecedented. It's beyond impressive. Uh, so yeah, you saw the beginning, like their vision and where it has gone. But for uh, Geno and Chris Daly to do this as long as they have, and how successfully they've done it, and it's not just the wins, it's not just the championships, but their players. Watching their growth and how they continue to carry the game. So Geno, Chris, they got into this like Harry and Joe when it wasn't popular. Being a women's basketball coach wasn't popular. They did it because they loved the game and they wanted the game to change. They wanted women's basketball to grow and evolve, and they've certainly done the best of it there at UConn. So as long as Geno's coaching, they're going to continue to win. I'm hoping, as we did some years back, to have our night and do what we can, compete, and get the biggest wins in your program for sure. However, you see overall success that they've had, they get it done.
Coach, can't thank you enough for all your time, and congratulations on what you guys have accomplished so far this year. Good luck this week against UConn. Good luck the rest of the way. We really appreciate it.
Thanks, Matt. I'll take it. Go Cats.
Very much appreciate Denise Dillon taking the time to join us on UConn Week. That's a big ask. Very nice of her. And you could hear it in her voice. She wants to take the opportunity. It's kind of a litmus test for Villanova. See where they are against the best in the sport. This is not the type of game you have to win if you're the Wildcats, although competing would go a long ways towards taking some of that consternation away in terms of their tourney status. Right now, they are right on the precipice. Most people seem to feel they're on the right side of the bubble. That could easily shift the other way with a loss or two in conference play. It's just the nature of women's college basketball right now. There's so much parity in that middle tier, and Villanova trying to make sure they end up on the right side of the bubble. They've avoided any bad losses. There are only 3 losses this season, come on the road against a very good Marquette team, and then at home against 2 of the best mid-major programs who will be NCAA tournament teams in Fairfield and Princeton. In honor of UConn Week, we have to revisit our chat with the godfather of Villanova women's basketball from the summer, Harry Peretta. It is one of the great thrills of my career to get to do games with Coach Peretta for ESPN Plus, and to get to know him over the years after I grew up watching him. To me, as a young kid on the sideline, he was a crazy person, but he was an irascible, fun, crazy person. And it turned out in real life, that's kind of what he is. He is effervescent, very fun, very off the wall, and he tells fantastic stories. And one of my favorites that I've ever heard him tell about his memories of going up against the great Geno Auriemma. So forgive the graphics, forgive the bad video quality. It was very early in our Holy Nova days. We were still learning what we were doing, but I think the story is worth it.
Oh my God, they have so many. My funny stories were when we were playing, we had a rule: if he got up by a certain amount of points, then I would practice for the next game that we were going to play, and he had to play the defense that the next team was going to play or run the offense that the next team. I would send one of my players down and say, listen, we're playing Pitt in 3 days. I want you to play this, or I want you to do this. So they were the funny stories that people don't know about.
I also love, you told a story about how when you'd be in town, the Nike reps might be in town as well, and the difference between how they'd wine and dine Geno and how they'd wine and dine you.
Well, actually, Jill, when you ever talk to Jill Bascoe at DePaul now, she's the head coach. She was the Nike rep, and she was with Geno the night before. I guess they went to some steakhouse or whatever. She came down. She goes, let's go to breakfast, and I ordered one pancake. And she's like, are you kidding me? She thought I was going to order steak and eggs. I said, no, I'm good with my one pancake. So, and they had been to the steakhouse the night before. So you ever see her this year, if they have a game and you're doing the game, you asked her about that, she'll tell you. It's a funny story.
Harry Peretta, saving Nike money. That's one way to go. I don't think
exactly
they need it.
Right.
That is the best. Harry Peretta, he is one of a kind for sure. But, it is so true to hear Jill tell that story. She says that Harry would help Nike make their coach entertainment budget because Geno would go bust it the night before at whatever steak house that they would go find, either be it in Philadelphia, be it on the main line in Radnor or Wayne, wherever they headed. It would be quite the bill. And then Harry would come out the next day and it would be like $6 at the local diner down there. So he is one of a kind. He had a lot of battles over the years with Geno Auriemma. Of course, the most memorable one was when they ended the winning streak, and that Elite Eight team, his finest accomplishment during his 4 decades on the sidelines at Villanova. Denise Dillon hoping to recreate a little bit of that magic this week against the Huskies. It'll be tough, no doubt about it. And UConn, I don't think anyone thinks they're going to lose a game this year, and Villanova will be a major underdog, but it only takes one time. And certainly, as we said, being competitive, that's the name of the game for that tourney resume. So that'll be on Thursday night. Make sure you tune in. We will be back soon with our next edition of Holy Nova. We want to thank our friends at Home Field Apparel. Remember, if you're looking to celebrate a Villanova victory, or if you just want to show those school pride, go the old school route and think back to your childhood memories and the throwback look. Home Field Apparel is the best place to go. You could check out their Villanova collection. We will link to it in the description below. We can't thank Home Field Apparel enough for making the relationship with Big East Energy Network and allowing us to provide this content to Villanova and Big East fans. That'll do it for us. For David White, my normal co-host, and all of our Big East Energy crew, I'm Matt Janus. Thanks so much for being with us. This has been Holy Nova.